Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. In this video I will be reviewing Focal, the audio brand. I've listened to quite a bit of Focal, and that covers their speakers and headphones that they've released. So I would say it's a mid to high budget sounding brand, meaning that the quality of sound is around from the midpoint to close to what is high, perhaps just reaching the plateau of high level stuff. It's far from the best sound, but it still beats a hell of a lot of brands out there, a lot of respectable brands. It's a good and solid brand, and I personally feel that the reason why Focal are so popular is because they're just one of the few brands that have a direction, have a signature, have consistency, have slam, has bass. It's pleasant to listen to. It's very crisp. It does a lot of good technical stuff. It's just a very good overall balanced sound. And I'm going to dig in a bit deeper than that. I would say that the treble is good, but not magical and rare like Martin Design or Verity. Or some other brand in the very, very top. I would feel that this goes with a lot of speakers on the market, but I feel I have to say this with Focal. I feel that when I listen to it, it's just a tiny bit held back, tiny bit reserved. And this is actually a normal thing that you get with big speakers that have big drivers, that you get a slight disconnect because you're biasing the sound towards sound effects and making sure that that gets the priority, and because of that, you're losing a bit of the micro details, the integration, and especially the human quality and the true intimacy and connection. It just isn't quite there, even though it's a lot better than most speakers. So let me just mention a short bit here that I find that the headphones that they make are very good price-wise and performance-wise. I feel that they did something that's pretty smart, and companies like Sennheiser just don't really have a chance comparing their headphones to Focal. I feel like Focal, they have they've got that under control. They're pretty big on that market, and Sennheiser have been along on that market for a much longer period of time, but Sennheiser is generally just pretty dead and analytical in sound, where Focal is just a lot more overall balanced in sound. And I think a lot of customers really want this. So Focalitopia, really, really good. One of the best headphones I've ever listened to in my life. But still, it has, like the speakers, tiny bit of reservedness, and just feels like it's, just sitting a tiny bit on the sound, and that's the best headphone from Focal. I would say that they make a pretty decent, versatile sound that goes with a lot of audio brands. So you could be pretty safe in picking a transistor amp or maybe even a tube amp and playing it on Focal, because it just generally sounds pretty good, the average sound that you get. It's a bit like a B&W. They kind of hit a certain market where they create a certain type of good value sound that sounds good on most gear for most people's ears, and it's just like a slightly lower level warmth. But I have to say that Focal is substantially better than B&W, and they also make speakers that generally cost more. So I think that's fair, that it costs more because it gives you better sound. I have to say this point here, and I feel it's important a lot of people read that, because this is not just about Focal, but just generally the speaker market. I feel that people that buy Wilson audio speakers should instead buy Focal, because it's cheaper, it gives you more value. It's less vulgar, less reserved, less non-caring, and it's just less like a PA speaker. How can I say that? Because these are expensive speakers. What I mean is that it's this. It's just this way of separating sounds and making it not quite as emotional and reactive as it could be. Let me explain. A lot of speakers and expensive gear like Macintosh have this like cool and vulgar sound, where it's like, I'm not going to do anything about that type of sound because I am the best. And I think that a lot of people, especially new people that are coming into hi-fi, think because they have this really crappy gear that, like, wow, that's a direction, that's personality, that's coolness. And it is to some degree. I really get that. I was really into that when I started my hi-fi journey. But I'm telling you guys that when you want to own a piece of equipment, you have to look past that. You have to go deeper, because this is a way of making the sound very black, meaning that you can hear a lot of stuff in the background, meaning that it creates the illusion of the sound being deeper than it really is. It creates the illusion of very good structure, very good separation, and I find that it just plays it safe, numbs the sound, and it kind of puts it in a mode where, like, it's on a track and it can't really change tracks, that train that you're going with, because it's like locked into place. It's doing a certain thing, and it just, after a while, when you own gear like this, for me personally, I feel that the brain just slowly predicts what's going to happen, where I like the feeling of not knowing what's going to happen in a good way, not in a erratic way, but in a really good, surprisingly beautiful aesthetic way, where I can then listen to the same music again and again and again and again, because the brain just can't figure out exactly what's going on. And I like this. And not having that inner beauty is just for me a bit off-putting. But so for me, this thing here that Wilson Audio especially does is that it just makes the whole thing feel a bit ill, like it's got a disease and you can't shake it off. And it gets this, if you've ever listened to Leonard Cohen, the way he sings his music in this way, and very cynical and down to earth and not caring and kind of numb, it's cool. It's cool to listen to that once in a while, but when you get used to that style, you just kind of know where the sound is coming from and where it's going to go. It's a thing that you only get to really notice when you've heard a lot of music gear. And I feel that Focal does this a tiny bit, like most other manufacturers. They don't do it to an extreme degree like Wilson Audio and Macintosh and some other brands, but it's definitely there, that reservedness and that not really reacting and caring quite as much as it could do. And that is simply what you get when you have a lot of units, a lot of things going on in the filter, and you're not using the shortest signal path with the very highest quality components. That is a symptom that you get, but a lot of people interpret that as being cool, and it's not a huge thing, but when you become like me, a person who listens to a lot of Top Gear, it's a thing that you really notice, that a lot of um, top equipment simply has this not really caring type of personality. And I would easily, because I'm used to top hi-fi, I would easily want to give up a bit of detail just to get that feeling of another person being in the room with me, and just like, touching me, deeply in the heart, and having everything come out in a genuine way, so you really feel that connection. And I feel that Focal doesn't quite do that. It does that a lot better than most speakers, and I think that that's why they are so popular. But a lot of expensive hi-fi gear just gives you a lot of detail, and it's kind of repulsive, because there's no true substance where it's like, here, take my hand, and we're gonna do this together, and and you get that deep look into your soul from that another person, or what feels like another person. It is audio equipment, so, but when you really have the best gear in the world, the equipment completely disappears, the space is endless, the depth is endless, but most importantly, it's sincere, it's fully unloading, and it hits you on an emotional level, so you almost fall apart and start crying, and simply because it has this loving, caring way of really reacting, but also not over romanticizing the sound, but it has this like chameleon way of finding the mood of the artist, finding the purity of the sound, and that is what makes the best speaker and the best amplifiers and the best gear in general, that you simply have that rare quality that I'm talking about. So I wouldn't say that Focal is the best, also not the worst, but I would say that it's well above average, well above average. I mean, I would say that the average sound is B&W and Bounds and Wilkins, and Focal is like one and a half, maybe even 2 steps ahead of that in general. And all respect to Focal for doing that, because not many manufacturers can do that, and I don't have a lot of bad things to say about them. These are like small, minute things that I have to say, because I've listened to the best that's out there, and that's the thing that I really notice, that I don't find a lot of other people noticing. Because when I am in the room with other people, I notice that what they notice is all the technical stuff, like, oh, did you notice how deep it was? Oh, did you notice the bass slam? It like you could feel it in your stomach and stuff like that. For me, stuff like that, it just gets old. Because that is good stuff. That is stuff I'm also listening to. But the thing I am really listening to, the thing I'm really concerned about when I'm dealing with good equipment, is how well can the sound hit you on an emotional scale, so it sticks on your brain, and you can just listen to the same music again and again and again without getting tired of it, and your brain realizing that this certain thing is happening in this certain way, and you're able to predict the music. I want to not be able to predict the music. I want the gear to be so good it reinvents the sound. And that's what I basically have with my gear after having used about 25 years on finding what I think is some of the best gear in the world. It's far from the best, but it's some of the best. It's at least in that category with a lot of other stuff. And I feel that we have to do that with the gear that we look at. It has to be about the substance, the true emotional impact that it has on you. And yeah, this has made into a very long video. I didn't want it to be that long, but I feel that this is this is truly an important part of understanding audio and knowing what gear to go with. And you don't have to take Audio Note. You don't have to take some of the other brands that I rave about. As long as you feel, as the gear that you're listening to, that it has these properties, go with that gear. And with that message, I am logging out and hoping that you guys could leave a nice comment or a like if that's possible. Have a nice day. Bye.